Assalamu alaikum dear students, hope you are fine by the grace of Almighty Allah. Welcome to NIEVS Home School. I am Sabreena Haque, Assistant Teacher of Science, National Ideal English Version School, Day Shift. Today I am going to take a science class for class 8 student on the based on chapter 12. The name of the chapter is the outer space and satellites, and this is the second part of the chapter. Dear students, take your textbook in your hand, open page number 127 and follow the class with your textbook. Today we will discuss about lesson 3, 4 and 5. So dear students, let's start the class. First we will discuss about lesson 3. The lesson 3 is natural planet and satellite. The galaxy to which we belong, you know, is the Milky Way. In this Milky Way, the Sun is located along with its family members. They together form the solar system, where 8 planets are revolving round the Sun. These planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Some of the planets have more than one satellite. The objects which revolve around the planets are called satellites. For example, the moon is revolving around the earth and Earth's satellite. Dear students, look, this is the definition of satellites. Underline this portion, you have to learn this. Now look the picture of solar system. This is the side picture of solar system. This is Sun. First planet is Mercury, then Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and last one is Neptune. Now we will discuss about where these planets and satellites come from. Scientists think that the Sun, the planets and their satellites are form a huge clouds of gas and dust around 4,500 million years ago. A star near the cloud exploded, making the cloud spin. As the cloud spun around and stuck together to form lumps. In time, the stars crashed into each other and that formed satellites. The clouds in the same way gather into lumps around the planets to form their satellites. The planets and satellites do not radiate light or heat because they are not big enough to start nuclear reaction as happened in stars. Dear students, underline this portion. The Earth has one satellite, Mars has 2, Jupiter has 67 satellites, Saturn has 62 satellites, Uranus has 27 satellites and Neptune has 14 satellites. Dear students, this part is so much important for your MCQ and knowledge based question answer. Now we will go to the next lesson. This is lesson number 4, artificial satellites and story of their development. This part is too much important because you will get some MCQ question part from here. A smaller body orbiting a large one, usually a planet, is called satellite. Dear students, mark this portion because this is the definition of satellite. An artificial satellite is a space vehicle designed to orbit a large body, usually the Earth. Underline this part also. This is the definition of artificial satellites. In the 19th century, the use of rockets in war was advanced as early as the 11th century. The Chinese used war rockets. Towards the end of the Second World War, V-2 rockets were designed by Germans. After the war, these rockets were adopted in for space travel by scientists in Russia and North America. Rockets are propelled in a similar way to jet-propelled aircraft. The fuel is burned in a combustion chamber and the hot gases flow out of the nozzle. The reaction of the fast moving gas on the rocket produces the forward thrust. That means you have to memorize this part total because this is so much important for you. Now we will go to the next para. The moon is a natural satellite of our earth. An artificial satellite is much smaller than the moon and moves in a much smaller orbit. For every orbit, there must be a definite outward centrifugal acceleration of the satellite to balance the inward attraction due to the gravity. For this, the velocity of a satellite is smaller when its distance from the earth is larger. It then takes more time to complete one revolution round of earth. We know that the earth revolves on its axis once in 24 hours. If an artificial satellite revolves around the earth in 24 hours, it will appear to be a rest with respect to the earth. The story of artificial satellites is not very old. The first journey into the outer space was initiated by the Soviet Union on 4th October 1957 when they sent the artificial satellite Sputnik 1. In the same year they sent Sputnik 2 and on the 2nd December, that means on 1957. These two satellites are sent to the space by the Soviet Union or Russia. The first American artificial satellite was the Explorer 1, which was launched on 22nd December 1958. That is Vostok 1. Vostok 1 was the first manned space mission by the Soviet Union, which is carried the first person in a space. Name is Yuri Gagarin. Dear students, manned means this Vostok satellite carries a human on 12 April 1961. Then the Valentina 5 Tereskova of USSR is the first woman who went to space on 16 June 1963 in Vostok 6. And then Intelsat 1 was launched as a communication satellite for commercial use. For remote sensing, the satellite CanSat 1 was launched in 1972. Apollo-Soyuz was taken as a mission in 1975 for international communication. Over 5,000 satellites have been launched to transmit telephone, radio and television signal around the world. Fewer than half are still orbiting and many have stopped working and are orbiting as space junk. Dear students, you have to learn this total para because there is so much important information for you for your knowledge based question answer and for your MCQ part also. Now we will go to our next lesson, lesson number 5, the movement of an artificial satellite. For the orbital motion of a satellite around the earth, there must be a centripetal force working inward. This force comes from the earth's gravitational attraction. The calculation shows that to launch a satellite into an orbit round the earth, a speed of about 8 km per second is needed. Dear student, underline this portion, 8 km per second. This speed is achieved by using the multi-stage launching system. At the first stage, the motor uses up its fuel and drops off. So, the second stage rocket does not carry its weight. The speed is increased stage by stage because at lower atmosphere the air frictions is larger for the higher density of air. This can create enormous heat and burn the rocket. To understand how to artificial satellite orbits the earth, you can do the following experiment. For this experiment, dear students, you have to take a tennis ball and a piece of thread. To understand the revolving motion artificial satellites around the earth, the methodology: fix a tennis ball at the end of a thread like that part. The thread is tied with the tennis ball. The length of the thread will be 1 meter or so. Now, holding the other end of the thread, revolve the tennis ball in a plane parallel to the earth space. Here, the inwards pull on the thread, the analogous to the gravitational force, and the outwards tension is on the thread is centrifugal force due to the rotational motion of the ball. The circular path of the ball analogous to the orbit of the satellite, and the ball here is representing the satellite. That means, if you hold one end of the thread and you will rotate it, the ball will rotate a circular path. That's like that the satellite also revolves round the earth. You can see why the satellites revolves in definite orbits round the earth by doing this experiment. Dear students, here is your homework number 12 for your annual term examination. You have to make 5 knowledge based question answer and with answer from this part which one we discussed today, and you have to submit on Sunday. Dear students, I have finished my today's topic. Hope you have understood. This part is so important for you. This part have so many information. This is important for your MCQ and knowledge based question answer. Learn all the important point, which one important for you. Read the chapter properly. Do SW regularly and submit it, because you will get your CT diary and SBA mark on the basis on your performance of your SW. Abide by your parents, stay home, stay safe. Thank you. Allah Hafiz. See you again.